Hey guys, Mr. Grand here. This is lesson 3.2, which is on translations. So in this video, we'll talk about what translations are and then do some basic translations. All right, so what is a translation? Translation is a shift. Sometimes we call it a slide or a shift. You're moving up, down, left, right. You're just moving around. You're not flipping it or rotating it. You're not stretching it or compressing it. It's just like cut and paste, and you're kind of dragging it around the document and moving its location. All right, so our notation for this. For translations, it's going to be a big T. And then there's going to be these little special brackets that are kind of like that. They're kind of little arrows. And this is an X value and this is a Y value. Now what that means, this is going to be how far we shift horizontally. So this is our change in X. Right? And so if this is a positive number, that means we are shifting to the right. And if it's a negative number, we are shifting to the left. All right, for the Y value, for this one, this is our change in Y. And so what that means is if we have a positive number there, that is a shift up. And if we have a negative number there, that is a shift down. So a quick example of that, if we had something like this where it was a translation of, we'll say, 4, -1, right? This would be a shift of right 4, right? We would take the X value of any point and we would add 4 to it. And it's also a shift of down 1 because we're going -1 in the Y direction. So whatever our Y value is for the point, we're going to subtract 1. This is kind of our formula. You're doing X plus or minus whatever this is, Y plus or minus whatever this is. All right, some examples of this. So completing the translation. So we were given a point and we're given our translation rule. We want to come up with the image. So we've got our pre-image is a point, and what's our image going to be? Well, with this, that 2, we're going to add the 2 to the 5. So our A prime is going to be 5 plus 2, which is 7, and we're going to do -3 minus 5, which is -8. So we're just combining these two things. Same thing with this, right? V, if we do a translation of 0, 4, -6 isn't going to change. So this isn't moving left or right at all. It's going to remain -6, but then 1 plus 4, -1 plus 4. So we're starting at -1 and we're going up 4, which would be at a +3. All right, identifying the translation. So now we're kind of going backwards. We're thinking about how do I get from point A to point B, right? How do I get from an X value of 5 to an X value of 3? So for our translation, right, so it's T, and we're going to fill in these brackets with the change that was made. So to get from 5, for the X value, to get from 5 to 3, what do I have to do? Well, I have to subtract 2, right? So 5 minus 2 is equal to 3. That means our translation in the X direction is a -2. And then for the Y's, same thing. I'm going from 7 to 12. Well, how do I get from 7 to 12? I add 5. So that's a +5, like that. Same thing here. How do I get from -1 to -6, right? So our translation from -1 to -6, I had to go down 5, right? So I would have to do -1 minus 5 to get to a -6. And so our X direction, we're going -5, which is left 5. Then for the Y's, going here to here. How do I get from 3 to 0? Well, I have to subtract 3 to get to 0. So that is a minus 3. All right, some graph examples. So writing our translation rule to go from P to P prime, from our image to our pre-image. Our pre-image to our image, excuse me. So if I start here, really what I want to look at is how far to the left and right do I have to go, how far up or down do I have to go. So I know it's going to be a translation, and however far to the right I went, so I'm starting here and I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I had to shift 5 units to the right, so that is going to be a positive 5. And then I had to shift 2 units up, so that's going to be a positive 2. So that's what that means, is 5 right, up 2. All right, another one. Now we've got our point and we've got our translation rule. Let's graph it and then list the point, the location of the image. All right, so with this, that 3 in the x direction, right, it's a positive 3, so that's going to be right 3, and that minus 2 is going to be down 2. So if I take my point and I go 1, 2, 3 to the right, and then 1, 2 down, I'm right here. So this is my h prime. So h with a little apostrophe next to it. And our new location, well, now I just have to know what the coordinate is, right? And that's at 1, 1. All right, next one. So we've got a triangle here. We've got a couple of triangles. We've got our pre-image vertices given. We want to know what the location is of our image, right, our transformed triangle, and then figure out what was the rule used to translate this triangle. How did this shift, right? What is our rule for this? All right, so for our new ones, a prime is right here, and that's at the point negative 5, negative 3. So negative 5, negative 3. B prime is at 0, negative 1. And C prime is at negative 1, negative 5. Now there's a couple of ways we can think about this. One, we can think about how do I get from a negative 1 to a negative 5? How do I get from a 4 to a 0 for the x's? How do I get from a 3 to a negative 1? Our translation, all of those are a shift of minus 4. On the graph, I could count how far to the left or right did I have to go. To go from A to A prime, that is a shift of 4 units to the left. So our x translation is negative 4. Right? Now I can do the same thing to figure out for the y's. How do I get from 3 to negative 3, or 5 to negative 1, or 1 to negative 5? 3 minus 6 is negative 3. 5 minus 6 is negative 1. 1 minus 6 is negative 5. So that is a shift of down 6. I subtracted 6 from all of those. And again, on the graph, I figured out how far to the left I had to go. Now how far down? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down. So our translation rule is negative 4, negative 6. All right, and then our last one for this video. We've got a triangle with these vertices. We're going to graph the pre-image first, so 0, negative 1, 2, negative 3, and 3, 1. And that is J, K, L, like that. And now we want to Now we want to apply the transformation, the translation, and identify its vertices. So looking at this, in the x direction, I'm going -2, so that is 2 to the left. And then we're going up 5 in the y direction. So now I could take all of these points and I could just subtract 2 from the x's and add 5 to the y's. I'll do that for j, right? I can take 0, 1, and I'm going to do -2 and +5 to the x and to the y, right? 0 minus 2 is -2, and -1 plus 5 is 4, right? And so my new point is at -2, +4. Now the other way I could do it, I could take the point on the graph and I could just apply these transformations and shift them like that. So k, I could go left 2 and up 5, and that's going to get me right here at 0, 2. Well, it would be the same thing. If I did -2 and +5, well, 2 minus 2 is 0, and -3 plus 5 is 2. Right? So whichever way you want to do it totally works. All right, so if I go 2 to the left and up 5, I go a little bit off of my graph. I got to go up a little ways and get up there. And that is at 1, 6. Now all I got to do is label it. So we've got J prime, K prime, and L prime.